I think it's about time I put my views on Itachi on the table. I love him, he is my favorite character, and so is for Masashi Kishimoto, the writer of Naruto. But I also understand that he's probably as crazy and responsible for the mess as the rest of the Uchiha. At such times I wonder, is Itachi a victim or a hero? And my answer is that he's part of both. I try to take a realistic approach to this complex character, and I respect your opinion if you disagree with me. Let's start from the beginning. Itachi, at the age of 4, witnesses a war that he is too young to handle, and the trauma forms the basis of who he turns into. As a result of witnessing such bloodshed and being unable to do anything about it, he becomes a pacifist that is willing to go to any extent to prevent any such inhumane destruction ever again. He is determined to take the burden himself, if need be, and to never be helpless again. That is when he stops being a child and starts thinking on the more mature lines. When he's 5, Itachi's younger brother is born, Sasuke Uchiha, and immediately Itachi takes responsibility for Sasuke's well-being. He states that he will always protect Sasuke, and as someone who was unable to do anything as hundreds were slaughtered before him, he is extremely determined to never be helpless again, and to protect his little brother with everything he has, and more, if need be. His world is centered on Sasuke, and he would do anything for peace. However, as he grew, his potential was recognized and he was recruited into the Anbu by his father, who wanted him to just spy in the Hokage and on the insides of the Leaf Council. Little did Itachi know that he would have to be working for Konoha instead, becoming a double agent and reporting the status of the clan to the Hokage instead. He was the 11-year-old that got caught in the centuries-old politics, false promises, dirty deals, treason, backstabbing, bloodlust of centuries. And he was willing to bear that burden for the sake of the peace, and most importantly for the sake of his brother. I imagine that Itachi thought he would find a way to work things out, and that by reporting the clan's plans to the diplomatic Hokage, Konoha can take the necessary steps to establish a firm camaraderie, and that it could make attempts to bring down the dissatisfaction among them. So he hid everything from Sasuke because Sasuke was too young at the point and innocent, and continued to act normally, telling himself that he would stop the enmity before it was beyond help. However, what Itachi didn't realize until later was that the elders weren't exactly looking for peace. Except for the third Hokage, everybody was hell-bent on eliminating the Uchiha. At this point, the third Hokage was also pretty useless and unable to put his foot down on anything within the council. Time ran out and the Uchiha began to plan a coup. Itachi and Shisui were getting more desperate, mediating between the two parties, but kept telling themselves that it would work out somehow, and they wouldn't let the coup happen. Finally, Shisui took what he thought as the necessary step and agreed to use Koto Amatsukami on Fugaku, thus stopping the coup. That was when the Dio realized how bad things really were, when Danzo attacked Shisui and stole his eye for no logical reason. And that's when they understood that Konoha, at least some part of it, didn't want peace as well. Because Danzo and the elders were paranoid towards the Uchiha, power instigates fear, and they wanted the utter destruction of the clan. Peaceful settlement was not something they ever counted on. They would never trust the Uchiha, and the discrimination would never stop because of the power of the elders and the third Hokage being a weak leader. The coup was inevitable. Finally, Shisui and Itachi realized that they were just pawns after all, and that they could do nothing to stop the bad blood, and this age-old feud was never in their hands to begin with. Shisui committed suicide at this point, entrusting his eye and his will to his best friend and depriving Danzo of a weapon. They had no illusions anymore. Neither of them could stop the massacre that was bound to happen because the hatred was mutual. Itachi, entrusted with the will of a friend, knows that he cannot do anything, change anything anymore, and he is full of contradicting undercurrents. His loyalty to his family and to his village constantly at war with each other. He begins lashing out at fellow clan members for sealing their own and his fate with tragedy. And through all this, he clung to the only thing he really loved, his little brother, who was 7 at the time. Sasuke becomes the main reason for his actions. When he meets the council again, he does not reveal about Danzo stealing Shisui's eye to the third Hokage because he knows at this point that the massacre is inevitable and that this might dispute among Konoha's council, making it easier to rebel for the Uchiha. And he knows that Danzo will go after his one weak point, his little brother Sasuke, if anything happens. Itachi accepts the massacre is inevitable and tries to focus only things that he can change, which means he focuses completely on Sasuke now. He does not tell the third about Danzo's deal with him, through fear that his one chance at giving his little brother a peaceful life would be gone if he chooses something else. Hence Itachi obeys the man who drove his best friend to suicide for the sake of his brother whom he loved more than anything else, even the Leaf Village. Then comes the night of the massacre and Itachi joins forces with Tobi, whom we now know as Obito Uchiha, the one responsible for the Uchiha's discrimination, and slaughters his whole family. Crying tears of blood as he cuts down his parents, his only thought is of Sasuke. He agrees to join Akatsuki as a spy as long as Sasuke is kept safe and can live a normal life. He leaves the village planning to die at his brother's feet someday. He tortures Sasuke to make sure that he does not waste away from grief and instead builds the hatred in him so as to give him some purpose. He tells lies upon lies and convinces himself that was the only way. He threatens Danzo that he would leak classified information if he so much as touched Sasuke. Itachi's priority might be Sasuke, but his first priority is Sasuke being alive. Sasuke being alive and well comes later. If Sasuke has to be subjected to brutal torture to keep him alive, then Itachi was perfectly willing to do it with his own hands, or eyes in this case. And he kept trying to convince himself that he couldn't fail and that this was the only way. He made mistakes after mistakes to cover up former mistakes. It was until Sasuke left the village that he understood the full extent of the damage he had done. When he meets Sasuke again 3 years later, Itachi is determined to compensate for the happiness he stole from Sasuke by giving him closure through his death and removing Orochimaru's tainted influence from him. He wants to allow Sasuke to return to Konoha by making him a hero via his own death. And he feeds his little brother even more lies, hinting ways to obtain eternal Mangekyo Sharingan through it, to guard him from Tobi. And thus Itachi dies the way he wanted to, lying to himself that his little brother can be happy now. He dies in disgrace, hated by his beloved, but still dies with a smile on his face, because Sasuke was alive and that was all that mattered to him. When he returns as an Edo Tensei and grasps the full extent of what he had done to Sasuke, he wonders how he could have failed. When he made plans after plans, he even planted Shisui's eye in Naruto, a low blow to force Sasuke to obey his will. Sasuke, whose very fundamental square freedom would have been reduced to a puppet under this illusion. He would have been killed under the orders of Konoha as a shinobi. But it was okay because it's sanctioned murder. Sasuke would forever be subjected to slavery and be unable to fight against it. At least that's what Itachi thought would happen. And would be in a conflict forever with himself. Because someone as strong-willed as him cannot exist under such invasion and forever hate himself for being a puppet of the village that wronged his kin. It was at this point that I literally wanted to go and hit Itachi. His screwed up mind provided screwed up solutions after screwed up solutions which screwed things up more than before. I'm surprised at how less people talk about this. Why it bothers me? It's because all that mattered to Itachi was Sasuke being alive and well and living and the way he planned for him to live. It does not matter if he died and sat slowly under the subjugation. He was not allowed to deviate from Itachi's plan for his life. It showed up how truly screwed up Itachi became. Sasuke was reduced to an object for him, an object that was only allowed to live the way he wanted it to. It's like he lost all consideration for Sasuke's psyche. Why? Because Itachi thought any other way would not guarantee a long and happy life for Sasuke, and he wonders how he failed. At this point, Naruto finally knocks some sense into Itachi's brain by stating that he owes his power to all around him, and Itachi finally sees his true flaws, that he's been lying to himself for too long, and that if he had just looked into Sasuke's eyes and told him everything at the very beginning, then none of this elaborate suffering would have happened. Itachi was so determined to protect Sasuke that he eventually ended up destroying him. Itachi is a perfect example of the Uchiha's crazy love and curse of love. The only difference between him and the rest of them is that Sasuke was alive. Itachi always deprived Sasuke of the chance of being a good person by screwing up and abandoning him. He was just about to do it again when they were going to Kabuto, which pissed me off a lot. Itachi did most of the damage to Sasuke, and nothing he says will reach him anymore. So all he can do now is give Sasuke the truth he deserved for so long. I love the ending Kishi gave to Itachi, with him finally realizing his flaws and accepting Sasuke as an equal instead of trying to toss him around, and acknowledging that Sasuke might have been able to change everything if given the chance. If only Itachi had been brave enough to have faith, none of this would have happened. The first step to Sasuke's healing is through truth. The only thing Itachi can do is not manipulate his brother anymore and just tell him the truth. He had been ready for so long, to tell him that he could find it in him what Itachi was unable to find in himself, to tell him that he doesn't have to forgive him, and that no matter what he turns into, Itachi will love him always. Because for good or bad, his little brother had grown up and was strong, and it was about time that Itachi let him go.